When VE Day finally arrived, Marjorie Kelsey was at home in Redhill with her son Billy and her mother and father. After 6 years of fear and privations, the excitement was overwhelming, and she wrote to her husband William, serving with the Queen's Rifles, a long and emotional letter expressing her uncontainable joy, her love and her hopes for the future. The letter begins in capital letters, "This is a happy, happy day," and Marjorie continues, "My darling, I am writing to you today, but I expect I shall finish it tomorrow. I feel very exciting and happy, precious, and I guess you will feel like it too. Now we can really start making plans for the lovely future we shall spend together. In a way, sweetheart, it will have been well worth waiting for. This morning I didn't intend to go to work, but at 7 they came and raked me out. As I had to get up and look out of the window to see who it was, I thought I may as well go and deliver all these love letters. I was glad, darling, because there was a letter of yours waiting for me, and I shouldn't have liked to have waited until Thursday before getting it. Last night we had just finished putting out the flags and such like when the first announcement came over the wireless. The men have been doing all the street lights this morning, and the whole town will be as bright as day tonight. The butcher's shop down the road put their neon lights and shop lights on at 10 last night and kept them on for a long while, pet. Lots of soldiers and girls were dancing in the street by the lights, and we knew for sure then that victory in Europe was here. Before I went to sleep, dearest, I said some very special prayers, and some time before today is out, Billy and I are going to church. I have said lots of prayers during the last 5 years, but none with such a thankful heart as now, precious. The main item in our peace plans is a house or bungalow, and when we have that we can think of other things. I would like a car of our very own this minute, sweetheart, but a home of our own is far more important. Don't you think so, pet? The proverb says all comes to those who wait, so in a few more years we shall have all we want and have ever hoped for. Life will be very easy to live with only you around, of course Billy too, so when we have everything it will be just heaven. There won't be another word for it. By the way, I must tell you that I have got into some very good habits since I have been here, darling. I always wash up before I go out. Do you want me to get into the bad habit of leaving the dishes when we go out, as I used to? That won't be hard, sweetheart. All the time you have off work when you're back on the railway will be a holiday for us. We'd be fools to waste it washing up dirty pots and pans. Billy thought you'd be home today when he heard the news, poor kid. He's always waiting for the day when I say you'll be coming home for good. He was so sure VE Day would bring you. Still, he won't have long to wait now. Just a few months, precious, and then... Marjorie took up her letter again later that evening. The pubs have all turned out now, and it makes me laugh to watch people, darling. They are so happy and carefree when their stomachs are full of beer, and yet other times they're downright miserable, when they're sober. Some of the lads have been even laying in the gutter, pet. I expect I shall go out tonight and have a port or a gin and orange, but I shan't stay out, no fear. I must celebrate some way, but I'd rather go on the common with you, dearest, and Jewel. When Billy and I were having dinner, we started talking about you, as usual. When you come home, we're going to say, we hope you have a lot of money, Dad, because you'll have to take us out a lot this leave. We want to go to Chessington and see the circus and the zoo. Also, we want to go to London and see the King's Palace and Arthur Askhey or something on the stage. It's a glorious day and the sun is very warm. For about a quarter of an hour it rained, but then it cleared up. It couldn't possibly rain on today of all days. It would be a shame to spoil the flags. Despite her earlier avowal to keep her celebrations low-key, when Marjorie resumed the letter, it was 1 a.m. in the morning. Sorry I can't write much now, but I've only just come in from celebrating. It's a very warm, and I haven't cooled down yet, pet, and I've a splitting headache. It's not surprising, though, after all the racket I've been through. On VE Day +1, she took up her pen again, sufficiently recovered to report on the previous evening. After putting her son to bed, we came out about 10 and the town was as light as day, darling. There were crowds of people around and I've never seen so much life in Redhill before. We went to the Oak. There were no spirits or wine, so I had to have a shandy. In fact, I had 2, sweetheart, and as I was so dry with the singing. The pubs were open till midnight, but at 11:20, Mum and I went down to the market square while Dad came home. We'd been told that the market hall was to be floodlit. More and more people had got there, and there were rings of them dancing Knees Up Mother Brown, and I was pulled into one of the rings. Then, darling, 3 soldiers came, and one after the other was dancing me round until I didn't know whether I was on my head or my heels. The night was ever so warm, and I was sweating like a bull, as Billy would say. Just after 12, though, sweetheart, the lights were turned off, and everybody was very surprised. Gradually we all came away, but lots were still there after I'd been put to bed for a good while. When Mum and I got indoors, I said to her, I bet Bill would have been disgusted if he'd seen me dancing, and she said that was what she'd been thinking, pet. Would you have been? After all, I hope this is the end of the only war in my lifetime. I'd rather have been with you, precious, but no one can blame us for being a bit giddy after all these years. Of course, some people are very cross about it all because the war isn't over in the Far East, but it's a great relief to know that the European war is finished. Lots of people say you'll be home before Christmas, pet. What do you think? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. For the present, I will say cheerio, pet. Take care of yourself and keep writing often. I can hardly wait to see you, darling. God bless you always. Do you know what? I really do, my dearest, and always will. Nothing and nobody can stop me loving you. All my love and kisses, precious. I am yours for ever and ever, M. And the letter ends with 16 kisses.